said, was born here at the park. Her father was a disabled koala who had come in from the wild, and he came in from the wild simply because one of the three devastating things for koalas in the wild are bushfires. As soon as a koala gets scared, the first thing it does is go right up to the top of the tree. Deforestation is another big killer for koalas. One koala needs access to something like 800 trees in its lifetime to sustain it. Now we have 743 species of eucalyptus in Australia, spread throughout Australia, but no matter whereabouts you find koalas, they're very fussy and they will tend to only eat between 5 and 8 different species. So when I say a koala needs 800 trees, it's not just 800 any old trees, there's specific trees that the koala needs throughout its lifetime. Now I know out there when we're clearing, doing a lot of land clearing, we like to leave that, people leave that corridor of bush so the animals can still make their way and find food and shelter and whatnot. But if you've got koalas in the area, you need to be really cautious about what types of trees that you're leaving around. Now, the third killer of koalas, which is almost what happened to her dad Livingston, are cars. Koalas come on the ground in search of new trees, and cars come along, and these guys have no hope. So sadly, her father was run over by a car, but he spent 2 years in the koala hospital up at Port Macquarie rehabilitating, and he had a really good quality of life. He lived here for about 10 years, and we lost Livingston only a few weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago, and due to old age. So he was 19 years of age. Koalas in captivity live between 17 and 20. So he had a really good life here. He was a bit of a stud. He had females coming down from all over the New South Wales, specifically to be bred with Livingston. Because he was a new koala in captivity, his bloodline was very important, and he was actually ranked 5th in Australia, which means young Kambala here, as stuck up as she is with a bit of an attitude, she's also very important for the koala breeding program. She has had some joeys, and as those joeys have weaned and hit 12 months of age, they've then been passed on to other zoos for breeding. We're in the process of getting her a young man. Yes, we are. And this young man, I tell you what, he's going to want to have a lot of gutso about him, because not only is Kambala quick with an attitude, but this male is blind. So we are more of a sanctuary here than a zoo, so a lot of the animals we do take in are animals that have disabilities and can't be released into the wild. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge for this male. Obviously we're going to let him settle in. He will not be housed with her, he'll be housed next door. You'll get to know, her smells and her sounds. And once he's established in that yard, what we'll do, because he's blind, we've got to give him, even balance. We'll take all of the horizontal bars out of the yard, put her up in the tree and plonk him on the bottom of the tree, and he'll climb up, and that gives him the absolute best chance. So Kambala is having a little bit of a feast on some Nikolai there. She's really fussy as well to feed, but once you do find something for them, they will smash it. Climate change. Do you guys think climate change, and there's a lot of talk about, climate change though, it doesn't really affect the animals, not really. You guys kind of think that? At the moment, koalas all throughout Australia are suffering big time. It's only just coming back to normal now a little bit, very slowly. But because we've had such extreme heat this year, I remember when I first started here 7 years ago, we might have been lucky to have 2 40-degree days within a year. I know this year already we've had something like 10. There was 2 weeks where we just every second or third day was 40 degrees. These eucalyptus trees, the tree roots go so deep underground, it's deeper than the height of the tree. So the tree therefore absorbs something like 10 times its weight in water every day. When we have these 40-degree days, I don't know what that is converted. It's hot.
Double it and add 30.
Hey?
Double it and add 30.
Double it and add 30, so 110
degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, it was hot. Now, because the trees need all of that water, the heat and the intense days were drying up the leaves. So the tree, in order to protect itself from dying, the tree does 3 different things. It'll either sacrifice half or a quarter of it, so it'll deliberately stop resources to some of the large limbs to try and protect itself, and then later on when times are good, it'll reshoot those sprouts out. Another way is all of the new growth growth of the new leaves will be purple, and that lets all the animals and the insects know, don't touch me, I'm toxic. But another way, and that's the way that's the hardest for us leaf cutters, another way is the tree tips look exactly the same, nice and light green, yellow in colour, perfect, that's what the koalas like. But the tree's been producing so much toxins and more acid through the tips, so that when the koalas are eating the leaves, it's very bitter. So koalas in captivity have stopped feeding on leaves. We had a stint here for 2.5, 3 weeks, where I would go leaf cutting and it would look like this the next day. She wouldn't eat. And koalas, you know, up north, down south, it's all happening. In Queensland, the koalas up there in the wild have been climbing down and on the ground seeking out water. This is weird. The koalas don't do this. Koalas get 80 to 95% of their water intake just from eating the leaves. With the heat and the lack of water, koalas are coming down looking for water. I've worked in the industry for 11 years, different zoos, lots of koalas, never once seen a koala come down and drink. So the fact that in Queensland these wild koalas are coming down in search of water, the farmers have been putting water bowls up in the trees. Koalas have been drinking for 30 minutes non-stop. Climate change is real. If it keeps this up, koalas will be dead extinct within 20, 30 years. So it is a shame. We really all need to do what we can. What else can I tell you? You'll see she's got her butt faced to me a little bit. It's her way of saying get lost, Karin. That white coloration there, and that's simply camouflage. You look up in the sky today, if you were trying to look up in the tree for a koala, that white spottiness would actually help them to camouflage. Big nose, I need to smell out all the different types of eucalyptus, just to give you an example of what they smell like. We'll take the lower leaves here, which you won't reach. It's alright, I'm not going to eat all of them.
Oh, she's coming
Yeah,
back.
she'll get you out of my leaves. So this is why koalas need a super duper big nose, because smell that, that's what they love. That's like lollies and ice cream and chocolates and macas and have a little smell of that. All of the eucalyptus leaves will smell different.
Oh wow.
It's a nice strong smell, isn't it?
No,
That's kind of sweet.
It does smell kind of, did you want some?
I'm good.
No. Have a smell?
Need your tongue for you.
So, we can't actually eat leaves because we can't digest the leaves. We'll get severe cramps and we'll end up in hospital. Did you know that koalas can't naturally digest koala leaves either? When they're young, when they're born, being a marsupial, so they're born 35 days after mating, very quick gestation. The longest gestation for any marsupial is 38 days. After 35 days, the female will give birth to usually one joey. I've heard on rare occasions there's two, but mostly it's just the one. The one joey climbs into the teat. Because it's the size, if you think of a pink jelly bean and chop it in half, that's the size of the little joey when it is born. Because it's too little to suckle and everything, when it finds the teat with its mouth, the teat actually swells and locks in and fuses inside of that joey, and it's the mother's muscles that actually contract the milk into the joey, and it does that for the first 120 days. Then that joey's a little bit bigger, it's then got all of the functioning to be able to suckle. It still stays in the teat, but then it comes in and out of the milk when it wants to. When that joey gets to about 6 months, you'll see or less than that, about 5 months, you'll see an arm or a leg hanging out of the pouch. Its head might come out every now and then. It still can't eat eucalyptus leaves. But what it will do then, as it starts to emerge from the pouch, is that little joey will start to ingest some of mum's poo. Sounds pretty gross, but it needs to do that to put the enzymes, the bacterial lining on its stomach, so that it can then start eating the eucalyptus leaves to then break them down. A lot of people think that's pretty gross, but it's not really. See this little joey out here? This little joey, that's Axel, and his mum is up the back there lying flat out. That's Hazel. Hazel and this little kangaroo here that these people are patting, they're stepsisters. I raised them both. Now when Hazel was the size of little Axel, that's when I raised Hazel. She was emaciated and sick. She came from down south in Dubbo. Sadly, down there that thought it would be fun to look for kangaroos. They took the Joey and they did such a poor job that when I got Hazel, she was absolutely emaciated. What I did is got Zoe. I had Zoe when she was half the size of little Axel sleeping. So Zoe was 5 months of age when I got her. She shouldn't have even been out on the patch. She couldn't even stand up. Because Zoe's been pumped full of vitamins from myself, pumped full of goodness, those Inner Health Plus capsules, Penovite drops, you name it, I've shoved it in her milk. Zoe is the best specimen kangaroo in the park. When all the other kangaroos get mites and mange from the humidity and the mosquitoes and all of that, and they're looking really bad, Zoe hops around with a beautiful light grey fur, no mange, no nothing. That kangaroo is pumped full of goodness. She's got a fantastic immune system. This is what I do. I take some of Zoe's pellets, her poo pellets. When I'm feeding Hazel, I would put a poo pellet in the bottle of milk, shake it up, and feed it to Hazel, so that Hazel is getting that good bacterial lining inside of her. So it's very normal for animals to eat animal poo. We did that. You get funny looks. It'd be a little bit gross. Does anybody have any questions at all?
Was Kambala and her dad in the same enclosure together?
No, they weren't. So Livingston lived in the enclosure next door. Not because that was her dad and we didn't want them to breed, that we weren't going to allow them to breed. Females and males do not like to be housed together, the females especially. Koala mating can appear and seems very aggressive. And you imagine everything that's happening up in the tree and you've got those sharp claws. The male's got to bite onto the scruff of her neck to hold on. He's got to grab onto her. And the females kind of scream. It sounds to us, and we interpret it as screaming, but it's perfectly normal koala behaviour. The only time it's very silent is the very first time she's ever been introduced to a male, because she doesn't know what's going to happen. From the next time on, she knows exactly what's going to happen. They stress out. The females don't like having males within their same enclosure. Even if the male's not looking at them and on the other side, females will get nervous and they won't eat as much. So we always tend to separate them. We bring the female over to the male's enclosure for breeding, and then we bring her back. Simply, and that's why one of the reasons why we don't have them together. The girls don't like it, they get too nervous.
Will two females live together?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So young Kambala here had her best mate Pepper. Pepe Le Pew, we called her. Pepper came to the park almost after I started, so about 7 years ago. Pepper and Kambala lived happily in the enclosure together. Did you guys meet Pepper? No. Pepper lived in the enclosure with Kambala, and Pepper was a lovely koala. You'd walk in the gate, she'd eyeball you, and if she liked you, which most of the time she did, she'd climb down, run over to you, in front of you, put her arms up for a cuddle, and you'd actually pick her up and give her a cuddle. Pepper was such a lovely, amazing koala, and unfortunately she passed away a few days ago due to cancer. She was 10 years of age. Koalas in captivity and in the wild, usually 90% of the time, pass from cancer or lymphoma. It's just a terrible thing, and so we're all very fragile at the moment because we lost our young Pepper. But Kambala's got some friends lined up. As I said, we've got a male koala that's blind that will be coming into the park, and of course we've got another male koala that's due to come into the park as well within a couple of weeks. So she's by herself at the moment, but only for a short amount of time. However, Kambala doesn't know about Pepper, because Kambala had a Joey a year and a half ago, and when the Joey started to become big and ride on Mum's back, Kambala decided, you know, Pepper, somebody's got to go, and it's not going to be me or the baby, it's you. So Kambala decided that that was it, Pepper. She would attack Pepper, she would beat up Pepper, she'd yell at Pepper by going, "Eh," going right up to her and just sitting there going, "Eh, eh," like, get out, get out. So Pepper became stressed, understandably. We moved Pepper into another enclosure just to give Kambala space that she needed for her young Joey. When the young Joey became independent and was transferred to another zoo, we brought Pepper back down. Pepper saw Kambala, even from a distance. We didn't even get into the yard. And Pepper started displaying stress signals. Then his severe koala stressing is that hiccuping. Pepper did it twice, just 1, 2, we turned her around, we took her back, she immediately stopped and she never came down to play with Kambala again. Kids, there's a moral to this story. If you can't share and be nice, you end up being alone. So you have to learn to share, okay? So you have friends when you grow up. All right, it was a good question. Were there any other questions at all?
Who's the fellow that's at the front entrance stuffed on the
That is Roadrunner. I don't think that's what happened to him though. I believe Roadrunner was a koala that lived here before my time and he died of not a road.
Something.
Yeah, I know, probably from running. I'm not sure what he died from, I'm afraid. But yeah, he used to be real.
So they stuffed him.
Yeah, we will not do that to Pepper. Alrighty. Guys, thank you so much for your time. The next encounter coming up today is the 12:30 Python Tour, which will be just to the right of the barbecues at the sand pit. Hope you guys all have a fantastic day at Walkabout.
No,
Thank
it's
you.
your speedboat.